So, dear students, the next topic is geometric design of runways. So the geometric design of runways, the specifications, it will be same throughout the world. So if you are taking the air transport, the pilots will be coming from different countries to different. That means we are having international air transport. So if you are not having any uniformity in these standards, what happens is the pilot from one country may be arising difficulty while he is landing in other airports and all. So in the case of airports, the geometric design of runways, the airport lightings, the airport markings, all those things will be having a uniform standard throughout the world. So basically it will be following the standards by ICAO or FAA. So the geometric design of runways have the following elements: the length, longitudinal and effective gradient, rate of change of longitudinal gradient, safety area, side distance, transverse gradient, and width. So if you're taking the length, so we know that there are different class of airports, that is A, B, C, D, E. So based on which class of the airport we are constructing, we will be having different lengths. So if it is A, the length should be corresponding to the classification A. If it is B class, then you should have the runway length corresponding to that. So the length will be depending upon what is the classification of airport as per ICAO. Then next is longitudinal and effective gradient. So we have already discussed what is longitudinal gradient and what is effective gradient. So we know that the longitudinal gradient, as the longitudinal gradient increases, the required length of the runway will be also increasing, and also it will be affecting the performance of the aircraft. So the maximum values for longitudinal gradient and effective gradient specified by ICAO are as follows. So for A, B and C types of airports, the maximum longitudinal gradient is 1.5 percentage and maximum effective gradient is 1 percentage. For D and E types of airports, the maximum longitudinal gradient is 2 percentage and maximum effective gradient is also 2 percentage. Next is rate of change of longitudinal gradient. So that is, if we are having two gradients adjacently, the what is the rate of change of longitudinal gradient? So if there is a sudden change in longitudinal gradient, it will be undesirable in the case of airports, because it will be restricting the height distance, and also it will be causing some problems during taking off and all. So in order to avoid such difficulties, we will be restricting the values for this rate of change of longitudinal gradient. So as per ICAO, the maximum rate of change of this longitudinal gradient has been classified like as follows: for 30-meter length of vertical curve. So if you are considering a 30-meter length, the maximum rate of change of longitudinal gradient should be limited to these values. So for A and B, it should not exceed 0.1 percentage. For C, it should not exceed 0.2 percentage, and for D and E, it should not exceed 0.4 percentage for 30-meter length of vertical curve. Then the Federal Aviation Administration FAA recommendations is as follows. That is, if we are having this gradient like this, longitudinal gradient like this. So you can see here we are having an upgrade and we are having a downgrade, then an upgrade, and these are connected by vertical curves. There is a summit and there is a valley curve like this. So X, Y and Z are the three gradients, and L1 is the length of this curve, and L2 is the length of this vertical curve, and D is the distance between these two adjacent vertical curves. And you can see here A and B can be seen here. So it is grade change. So the value specified by FAA is for A or B. For small airport, that is this maximum grade change, it should not be greater than 2 percentage for small airport, and for large airport it should not be greater than 1.5 percentage. Then L1 and L2, that is the length of the vertical curve. So that is L1 and L2. So it is for each 1 percentage of grade change. Okay, so these values are for each 1 percentage of grade change. So it is 90 meter and 300 meter respectively for small and large airport, and D is the distance between the two adjacent vertical curves. So it should not be greater than 75 sorry, it should not be less than 75 into a plus b meters for small airport, and it should not be less than 300 into a plus b for large airport. So these are the specifications. That is, the total grade change should not be greater than these values. Then L1 and L2 are the actually this is the length for 1% grade change, and it should not be less than these values. And D is the distance between the two adjacent vertical curves, and it should not be less than these values. So this is the FAA recommendations for rate of change of longitudinal gradient. Then the fourth factor is the safety area. So it is an area which is cleared and drained and which is well graded. Okay, so here we will be providing a structural pavement like this, that is the runway area. Then adjacent to that you will be providing shoulders on both sides, and also you should have two edges like this. The edges of runway should be like this, that is extend. Then you will be having an extended safety area also. So minimum you have to provide this much as the safety area, and it should be cleared of all obstruction. It should be well drained and it should be well graded. So structural pavement is there, and on the two sides you will be having shoulders. So the width will be equal to the width of the runway plus two shoulders, and if you are taking the length, it will be equal to length of the runway plus 60 plus 60, that is length of runway plus 120 meters. Then the width of the safety area as per ICAO, there is minimum value specified, and for instrumental runway, that is which is using instrumental landing systems, so there you should provide minimum 300 meters width, and if you are using non-instrumental runway, their minimum width is 150 meters for A, B and C types of airports, and it should be minimum 78 meters for D and E types of airports. Next is side distance. So the side distance specifications as per ICAO for A, B and C types of airports are for A, B and C types of airports, any 2 points 3 meter above the surface of the runway should be mutually visible from the distance equal to half the runway length. For D and E type, there should be unobstructed line of sight for any point 3 meter above the runway to all other points 2 meter above runway within a distance of at least one half length of the runway. Then if you are taking the values for transverse gradient, the maximum limits specified by the ICAO are for A, B and C types of airport it is 1.5 percentage, and for D and E type it is 2 percentage. That is the value for this transverse gradient on runway. So it is for runway alone 1.5 percentage for ABC, and for D and E it will be 2 percentage. Then if you are taking shoulders, you can provide width like this, that is maximum 2.5 percentage up to a length of 75 meter from runway center line, and maximum of 5 percentage up to a length of 150 meters from the runway center line. So these are the maximum limits for transverse gradient. Then if width of the runway, if you are taking the width of the runway, it will be varying from 18 meters to 45 meters, and the considerations are we will be considering the air traffic. So as per studies, it is noted that the maximum loading will be concentrated at the central 24 meters. So based on that you can specify the width of the runway. While the aircraft is landing or taking off, the maximum loading will be coming at the central 24 meters. That is from center line of the runway 12 meters to both sides. Then another consideration is if we are fixing the length of width of the runway, the outer edge of the of the aircraft should not extend beyond the runway pavement. So these two considerations are to be taken into account, and you can fix the width of the runway. Generally it varies from 18 to 45 meters depending on these characteristics. So that is about the geometric design of the runways. Then if you're taking the runway patterns, generally we'll be having these patterns: single runway, parallel runways, intersecting runways and divergent runways. So the single runway means we'll be having only one runway in that particular airport. So it will be decided based on the direction of the headwind and all. Then parallel runways means you will be providing two runways parallel to each other, and the terminal building may be coming in between these two if you are having only two runways. So as the number increases, you can provide the terminal building accordingly. So this will be provided mainly if the volume to be handled is very high and it cannot be handled by single runway alone. Next is intersecting runway. So these are provided when the wind obtained for one runway is not sufficient for accommodating the traffic capacity throughout the year. So once if the wind is blowing in this direction, you can use this runway, and if it is in this direction, can be used. You can use this one. So both of these two cannot be used simultaneously. In the case of divergent runways, also these two cannot be used simultaneously. We can use these two at different timings, but the capacity will be more than the intersecting runways. So these are the different runway patterns, that is single, parallel, intersecting, and divergent runways. So thank you.